Sorry about the voice. Good evening. My name is Mark Deschamps, and this is my beautiful wife, Nat. I would like to thank An Evening of Hope for inviting us to tell our story. As much as I would like to speak tonight, you can tell by my voice that I would have a hard time doing so. I'm going to ask Nat to speak on our behalf. She usually does all the talking anyways.
That's nice. Hi, everybody. As like Mark said, I do like to talk, and I can talk forever, which is why I have my notes up here, because if you just give me free rein, I will just go on tangents, and everyone is staring at me saying, what is she talking about? I just want to say what an honor it is to be standing here in front of you. Had somebody told me 3 years ago that I would be here, I'd asked them how much wine they've had. I was a mom to 2 gorgeous little girls, aged 5 and 7, and I was a wife with a really hot man. Today, 3 years later, I'm a mom to 2 gorgeous young ladies, aged 8 and 10, and I'm still the wife with a really hot husband. When Mark was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer over 3 years ago, we were pretty convinced at the time that it was just one big mistake, and that somehow he got the wrong diagnosis. How could it be possible for somebody that was so athletic, that was so full of life, and with no symptoms, could be diagnosed with such an awful and horrific diagnosis, literally out of nowhere? It all started with a spot at the back of his eye. It was more of an annoyance than anything. A full year of consultations with different doctors, and nobody really knew what was going on, and we ended up at the Princess Margaret in Toronto. The docs told us then that they suspected that it was a secondary tumor and that the primary could be lung cancer. I thought the guy was completely off his rocker. You know, he had just ran a 10K and personal best at his time. I mean, there's no way. Well, ended up, he actually didn't know what he was talking about, because 2 days later, it was confirmed. He had stage 4 lung cancer. It was in both his lungs, his lymph node, and his right eye. Our lives at that point completely changed. We spent most of that month in Toronto undergoing testing, and when we were transferred to Ottawa for treatment, that's where we met Dr. Whitley Price and his wonderful team. We were so petrified. None of this made sense. We were literally in the twilight zone. Thankfully, the members of the Ottawa Cancer Centre were so comforting and so compassionate. Mark was tested for the EGRF mutation, and it came back positive, and he immediately started treatment, which was a targeted therapy that Paul talked about a while ago. I'm not sure that I can explain the emotional turmoil that we were thrown into. However, right from the beginning, we quickly got past the fact that we were dealt a really crappy hand. Mark insisted that no matter what, his head would stay high and he would fight. After all, above everything, he was a father, and his little girls think he's Superman. Well, after 63 days on the treatment, he proved to be just that. He went to the Eye Institute to see what was happening with the tumor in his eye, and that poor technician, she looked perplexed. She kept looking at her files and back in Mark's eye and back in his files. There was absolutely no evidence of a tumor ever being there. The day after, Dr. Whitley Price gave us a call at home, and he said he couldn't wait until our appointment, which was in a few days after, and you needed to deliver the amazing news. His lymph nodes had gone back to normal. The smaller tumors in his lungs were gone, and the main tumor had shrunk to about 50% of what it was mere months before. That first year, we lived a completely normal life. He traveled internationally. We went to Belgium. He went to Germany with my dad. He went away on fishing and skidoo weekends. He played hockey. He golfed. Except for the heavy cloud that always hung over his shoulders, life was so normal. A year later, unfortunately, we were given the horrible news that the treatment was no longer working and that the cancer was spreading again. He underwent chemotherapy, but it was not successful, and the cancer kept spreading. So targeted radiation to the main tumor in his lung kept symptoms at bay, but we knew that without some sort of systemic treatment, it was a mere Band-Aid solution. We always knew that there was more research in this field being done, and he just needed to hold on until it was made available. Regardless of what was thrown at him, he always kept his head high as he promised, and courageously dealt with it head on. Even when they found numerous tumors in his brain, and when we found out that it had spread to his bones, he never gave up hope that a new treatment was just around the corner. Meanwhile, we celebrated life every day. He kept as normal of a life as his symptoms would allow. He hung out at the cottage, he played golf, he fished a lot. We traveled with the girls for dance competitions. We went to New York City. We took my other daughter to a competition in Burlington for a gymnastics meet. We went to Wonderland, just for the fun of it. He's a big kid. It was all of which he refused to miss. Then in the summertime, his health took a turn for the worse. With the cancer spreading now to his liver, we knew that the options were diminishing. His energy level was declining considerably, his appetite disappeared, and basically his quality of life was jeopardized. At this point, we could have either accepted what was most likely his fate, or we could have ignored it and just said, screw it. We're throwing all our faith into hope. Hope that the second generation, that the same kind of treatment that he was on that first year would be made available. What I felt like was the 11th hour, but I'm really melodramatic. It happened. He was accepted into the clinical trial that he's on now. We felt like we were given a completely different chance. On September 11th, just 2 months ago, he started the treatment. All the energy that we packaged up and devoted to hope paid off. And just like I knew it would, it's proving to be a successful treatment. He's gained back his energy, his appetite, and well, joke's on him, he's right back to laundry duty. I don't let him off the hook that easy. In all seriousness, though, the clinical trial, which is the result of groundbreaking research in this field, is the reason that we're here today. What makes Mark so amazing is that in addition to being such a success story because of the clinical trial, he has never wavered on his hope and determination. He fights this awful disease every day with such ferocity, but always with such integrity. You can tell I kind of like him. As long as he has his girls, including me, thinking that he's Superman, he'll always have a reason to fight. I'd like to thank you again for giving us this opportunity to tell our story, which I know is long from over. But I urge those fighting to have hope, and I hope that those that are able to contribute to promote research, please do. So a few thoughts that I want to leave you with tonight. First and foremost, it can and will happen to anybody. The stats are just horrifying. However, my second point is that research in lung cancer treatment can help. It is so promising. It can give back quality of life. It can fill what potentially could have been a void in a family. Mark is living proof of that. On a completely side note, I just celebrated my 29th birthday. On Saturday, a sexy man over here whisked me away by limo. He took me away for dinner and had a huge surprise 40th, I started myself. And he had a big party for me with about 120 of my favorite people, my family and my friends. He organized the whole thing. He was like a rock star throughout the night, and he closed the place. And that would never have happened 2 months ago. Third, speaking from my own personal experience, your medical team means the world. Many of ours are here tonight. Hi, everybody. And I want to say that as patients and overbearing wives, we hold on to every word that you say. So when your doctor tells you that he has your back, it's like music to your ears. But we're here to say that you've lived up to every word of it, and we offer our sincere, heartfelt thanks for always having our backs. Fourth and last point is that we can only be as strong as the foundation that we are built on. I'm not going to look over there because I'll start crying. I equate that foundation to our family and friends. We have our entourage, and which is fitting because they've been here since day one. When we needed comforting words, we got them. When we needed inspiration, we got it. When we needed a laugh, we got many. And when we needed a good kick in the butt, well, they were always happy to do so. On that note, I just have one last itsy-bitsy story, which then I'll pass the mic over to the big guy over here. And it's about Mark's friends. When we told his buddies 3 years ago that he was diagnosed, his friends were just mortified. And they felt useless, and they didn't know what to do. They felt helpless. So they eventually they organized a fundraiser. Kevin Hercules. So he started this fundraiser to raise money for cancer and to celebrate and to honor their buddy. They started an annual curling bondsfield when named it Curling to Kick Cancer. The first year, the money was donated to a Relay to Life, which is a team that we had on, we were participating in. And the second year, it was such a success that the second year was a much bigger affair, and it was so many more people wanted to participate, and it was just a lovely success. Congratulations, Kevin, and on that, I'm going to pass.
Thanks, Nat. That was awesome. As Nat mentioned, my friends have organized an annual fundraising event called Curling to Kick Cancer. We'd like to take this opportunity to donate the funds raised at this year's event, which took place on March 1st, 2014. We hope to carry on Philip Clark's vision to raise awareness of lung cancer. Louise, if you could please come up here. On behalf of my friends and family, we'd like to present you with a check of $5,000 to go towards an evening of hope. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening.